everybody. My name is Eric McLeod.
And I'm Chris Holden.
And you are listening to and watching LowBlowRadio podcast. It is Wednesday, October 7th. We just watched AEW Dynamite. It was the big 30th anniversary of Chris Jericho in the world of professional wrestling, certainly heavy on the entire night. Chris, what were your sort of overall feelings before we jump into things here?
Hey, fine. I honestly, I thought it was fine. I have a little bit of a degree that I was watching the world's longest edition of Botchamania, including insipid Taz commentary, boss moments for JR. He talks too much segments a couple times, and a number of botches through the night. But at the end of the day, it was a good celebration for Jericho. And yeah, what? Good 2 hours, all right. It was a fine 2 hour show. It was fine.
Yeah, no, I think, like I say, I don't think anything was certainly perfect here. There's certainly little things that could obviously get better overall with AEW, and that maybe that's something we can kind of work out here as we run through the blow by blow as we do it here on Low Blow Radio podcast. How does that sound?
Let's blow away.
Perfect. Well, we like I said, we kind of kicked off with a not the normal sort of opening with AEW. It was video packages with the talent kind of remembering and talking about Chris Jericho and his sort of history as so it contributes to their wrestling careers and that kind of stuff. I didn't write down everybody, but you sort of got the inner circle guys, mostly heels, but a few faces as well. Darby Allin and Jungle Boy thrown in there as well. So a nice sort of homage to Jericho to kick things off, kind of get you knowing what the night was going to be focusing on.
Yep. Moved into the first match of the night, Brian Cage taking on Will Hobbs for the FTW title. I wanted to punch Justin Roberts right from the start of the night, kept calling it the FTW world title. It's not the fuck the world title, you fucking idiot. FTW title. It's distinctly not a world champion. Regardless, I love the way that Taz sold Willie Hobbs through this match.
Yeah.
Taz is excellent on commentary when he's telling these stories and when he's working that old school commentary style. Even as the heel manager, I'm a little confused as to why Tully's at ringside for his guys' matches, but Taz just chooses to sit commentary desk, even with Ricky tonight as well. So the 5-man commentary, there's a couple times where that got stepped on each other's toes during it, but
yeah,
for me,
for sure.
I love the action.
Yeah, no, action-wise, definitely a big hostile match. You're always, at least me too, I've seen tons of Cage matches, but I'm always to this day impressed by the speed and everything he can accomplish for being such a big guy. Yeah, I mean, just the stuff that he was willing to pull off. And then, working with Will Hobbs, who's obviously a newer talent here in AEW and a fresher face here kind of thing. So, cool to see the two of them working together in this really hostile opener that we had.
The speed and agility that Cage has, it did a disservice to Hobbs because he comes across as slightly less impressive through this match. But it shouldn't be ignored, his agility and his power and speed as well. For a big guy, brought Big E to mind a lot. With the same kind of agility and same kind of package in that powerhouse body. So, yeah, I thought it was really good match. Stylistically, you see the two larger guys get in the ring sometimes. You can have the boring, cloddy slugfest, but these guys are anything but that. And some of the standing moonsault that Cage can do is awesome. And then he also pulls off things like that running knee strike, which looks as dangerous as a Kenny Omega doing it, or any lightweight, cruiserweight luchador that you've seen doing that kind of move.
Yeah, no, real fantastic move set from Cage here, and getting to see more from Will Hobbs in a nice solid 9-minute match. More so we've seen him in either tag matches where he's not in a ton or squash style things. So fun to see a little bit more out of Will Hobbs here. I would agree that the commentary booth got a little clustered, especially when they were trying to get over certain aspects of the match, as well as Will Hobbs himself. He's such a fresh new face here in AEW. I'm gonna say I try to watch everything they throw out because I'm just a sucker for any wrestling stuff that's going on. So I watch all the dark and all those kind of things, but I get where not everyone has the time and can keep up with everything. So he's not as a familiar face to some of those people. You've only seen him interrupting some of the Team Taz stuff, the big spots in the Battle Royal. So they were trying to kind of familiarize yourself with this new person on the roster and his sort of place and that kind of stuff. And I was wondering beforehand, I don't know if this is just sort of more sort of feed over from the Ring of Honor pure tournament kind of thing, that this match would have maybe benefited from a video package to sort of have Brian and Will sort of lay out a little bit who they are and why they're doing what they're doing here, just to familiarize yourself in that sense from their perspective, not commentary, because Will Hobbs has a great story and it's a fantastic heart uplifting positive story to have, not positive thing that happened, but like
sure.
what he's making from it kind of thing, and having him tell that story to you rather than Excalibur stumbling over it in commentary because there's 5 other people there, him trying to find his place for it. I feel it would have been a better way to get that story and Will's character over, so you had more emotion going into this matchup. So you were like, because I mean, as big as it was a sort of Haas on Haas match, you were pretty sure Brian was still going to walk away with the win here.
Yeah, there was no way he's leaving the belt behind. Not yet. So I totally agree with you that the packages are going to improve any match. And I also totally agree it's in the hindsight of the pure tournament stuff and the way that is packaged and produced and delivered with the video highlights and the explanation of, like we were saying on the radio show, is it wrestling? Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got an accomplishment. Yeah. How big do you make that seem? Even for a jobber, has to have some reason he's in the ring and a reason that it means something. The other guy beat him. Yeah. Otherwise, it might as well be me they're beating up, right? So, yeah, I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. I think we could say that about every match we ever watch from now on and say, yeah, I agree. It could have been better with a video package.
True. I mean, I say you don't want to overdo it, but I was just trying to think of it all night long, like what was going to benefit. And obviously, yeah, every match would certainly benefit from something like that. But yeah, I think implementing it a little bit here and there would have been certainly helpful in getting across such a new face, because there's such an expectation in AEW that you just either know everybody from their own history, or you're just expected to have seen everything that AEW is producing, which I get. They don't talk about other products and other things other than mentioning other companies and that kind of stuff. But from their eyes, you're just watching their stuff. So I do get it from both ends. So solid 9-minute match here though from these two. I really enjoyed it. The drill claw finish from Brian Cage to retain, but yeah, there was a few close calls there from Will Hobbs, and Taz did a good job to put those over.
Yeah, they made it look good. They made it look like it was a really close bout, an open bout. I think it was what I felt was a running theme through the night with that open bout style though. We saw it right here. Then we saw it again in the next match where it was Hybrid 2 going up against the World Tag Team Champions. We saw it again later in the night. In the main event even, it was Jericho against 2 unfamiliar guys from Dark. That I felt like it was a night full of, here's a veteran, or the guys that the guy and the favorite. And here's this talent that you don't know so well and don't know so much about.
Right.
Even in the Swole Serena Deeb, right? And Deeb is most certainly the veteran, but this was only her second match with AEW, I think.
Right.
So I think that there was a lot of that. Every match tonight could have benefited from at least one side having some sort of a highlight. I mean, because I felt particularly as we go into the second match, Hybrid 2 against FTR in the 20-minute Brush with Greatness match for the AEW Tag Team Championships. I felt like it was a good match. I can't complain about the wrestling, and I'm not complaining about the match itself. My complaint came from feeling like, who the fuck are these guys, and how are they putting on this kind of show against the tag team champions? I felt like from the position on the card of Jack Evans and Angelico, FTR should have been practically squishing them. Like we saw them take them to the limit, like we saw SCU take them to the limit, Jurassic Express taking the limit the week before. So I'm ceasing to feel like FTR are these dominant tag champions, and they're more like this team that eventually squeak out against anybody. But they're going to need all of these 20 minutes one day, and it's not because they're great; it's because they're just good enough to continuously hold on against every other team, or as good as each other. I get they want to build parity. At the same time, I think you see what I mean, where I feel like it's a detriment in a way. Like,
you mean a detriment to who? To the
FTR,
TH2 or FTR? Okay.
To FTR to have to end up being like we're taking the limit by everybody we face, including guys that you see on Dark. You don't even see these guys on Dark.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I take it a totally different way. I think it's and it's all about how you choose to read FTR. From the beginning, I've read FTR as this group that can only win by cheating, healing out, doing all these stuff. They're still great in the ring. They have great in-ring competition, but when it comes down to it, they can't beat guys without that stuff. And they never have shown us on AEW that I can think of where they haven't won a match without those tactics, correct? So like, as good as they are and as great as they are, they also have that other side of them, and they're really good at it, and that's fine. That's a part of tag team wrestling. It's a part of the the chemistry of the match and that kind of stuff. But I look at these as the matches that Cody was kind of having in the open challenge match, where he was allowing newer talent to sort of come up. And again, I think it's all about how you view the talent. I view FTR as that. They are these guys that, yes, they are very good, but they're very good at being a shitty team, like cheating all the time, being heels, that kind of stuff. They don't win by being an amazing, they have great tactics and that kind of stuff, but a majority of it is towards being heels and that kind of stuff. So heels should, take a big grunt of offense, especially if, they're the top of the heap. These guys should be scouting them. Everyone seems to have a nice hot open against them. SCU had a great open. The Jurassic Express, they all seem to, they know what FTR is bringing to the table. They just can't seem to overcome all the extra stuff, right?
No, sure.
So I thought it was great to kind of elevate Jack Evans and Helico. Again, I see it from both perspectives. They're unfamiliar characters to you because they aren't on Dynamite. If you haven't seen them in other places before, they haven't done a good job in AEW to present them as a team that would be on that level for sure. I can absolutely agree to that. So I can certainly see that from my eyes, because I'm just far more familiar, I guess, with Jack Evans and Angelico from other places and stuff like that. That I don't see them as just these jobbers that are looking really good. I know they can be that good, so it was great to see them be that good. So that was just how I viewed this match. It was fantastic to see TH2 finally getting some proper glory. They're fucking awesome, and they looked fucking great in this match.
They did. And that's where I feel like I don't want to sound like this is where I come from at the beginning when we just talked before we start the show, and I'm always trepidatious of saying like anything other than it was awesome, because I know you're gonna thought it was awesome, and I don't want to sound like I'm not thinking it was a great. The match itself was really good. It felt like I'm watching exactly that. I'm watching two guys I don't know. I don't know their backgrounds.
For sure.
Might be the first time I've seen Jack Evans ever. I've seen Angelico before. I don't think I've seen Jack Evans. So
fair enough.
I'm watching them all of a sudden. They're not just holding the candle to FTR, but they're kicking the shit out of them at certain parts. You like, yeah, like I should have seen these guys beat SCU first, or Jurassic Express a couple times first, or Private Party at least. Like, and maybe that's who they've beaten on Dark. I don't even know. They've won 3 in a row on Dark. I don't know who it is they beat though.
I'm gonna say I can't name them off the top of my head either. It's either usually jobbers. I can't think of a bigger team that they've certainly beaten.
Dark
but
Order
again,
9 and 10.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. But again, I think they do. I don't want to like speak out of turn. I don't know exactly what their record is or anything like that. And again, I will totally admit to the rose-colored glasses towards these two. I'm familiar with them from other stuff. I think it's great to see them elevated to a television spot. They're a great tag team and a great addition to have in AEW. They've had them from the get-go, and like you said, you said you've never even seen Jack Evans. So I think that's a detriment on AEW's part that they have so many guys. There's only so many places for everybody. They obviously were talking about how they were gone for a majority of the quarantine and that kind of stuff, just coming back now. But no, again, these two were in the original tag team tournament. They've been around AEW for a long, long time, and they have I don't know exactly what their ranking is, but again, the 3 big wins on Dark. I think, again, they're from AEW's perspective, that's how they're elevating them to get to that position, right? You and I, if you look at it from like Scorpio Sky, when he had that huge match with Cody, if you're only watching Dynamite, when was the last time you saw Scorpio Sky? When he lost his belt, basically, when he lost the tag belts, then he was on Dark, just winning and winning and winning. And like he would show up here and there, but you were very familiar with Scorpio Sky. You know how great he is. When he shows up and has that match with Cody, you're not, hey, who's this dude from Dark that just showed back, or this guy from the tag division, right? Like, so again, it's a give and take. So I can totally understand your perspective on it from an overall perspective. But I was hoping that didn't take away from the match, because I thought it was a great telling of a story and really helped elevate TH2 here.
And to be fair, even on that, the other one I'm looking at it on, if they go on from here with the halves of these matches that aren't the more familiar guys to, I would guess the majority of the audience haven't followed their back careers, regardless of dark, right?
Yeah.
So if they take these guys now and we continue to run with them, and we do see them, maybe not next week, but the week after, and it is Jurassic Express that they're fighting, or Private Party, we see them brought to that level at least, then it was worth it. It was worth it.
I think that's right? Some of that's the struggle with it's a 2-hour show. We didn't have another tag match tonight, so there wasn't time to elevate the tag division in any other way. You had the focus here, as well as the the Young Bucks stuff in the background, and the best friends. There's only so much time in 2 hours, unfortunately, to give everyone a little bit of space. So that's just an unfortunate part where you want everyone to be able to be showcased and thought about all the time. And again, unless you're just watching this, it could be easily forgotten if you're having to catch up on all the amazing stuff happening on Raw Underground, right?
But and God forbid they add a third hour. Like, nobody's asking for the third hour.
No, that's not what I want either, because I think it's a tight 2 hours. It's like they're so ready for, even if it's just an hour of where it's something exactly like the tournament. If it's more packages, it has 2 matches, you get in an hour, but everything else is just package stuff, letting you know who the characters are in AEW, letting you know who, where they are, where they stand, who they're feuding with, who they, their backgrounds, that kind of stuff, why, all that kind of stuff. I think it would highly benefit the show and not take away if they were to have something that was a little less wrestling.
Yeah. I love the assisted 450 splash that Evans with Angelico. That one spot was gorgeous. Yeah. And the Power and Glory finish was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. I thought the match was awesome. I mean, there was one bot spot. They totally missed that one high spot in the corner. And commentary were dumbfounded for the second as he just jumped back up onto the top and re-ran it because Cash just stood there standing there and they finished the match off. But it was, again, it doesn't take away from the whole thing as a whole. And it's their first time to get to be on Dynamite like that. So you could forgive him maybe a little bit of the shakies.
For sure. And hey, if there's anything that might make you a Jack Evans fan a little bit, he does all that, and he's a smoker just like you and me. So, I mean, good on the fucking guy. And he's Canadian. Come on. Give it up for Jack Evans. Come on.
That's it. He's my new favorite tag team wrestler. Jack Evans, everybody.
If you haven't seen him or anything, that kind of stuff, look up his other things, but wait till they can get him on the mic. He is fucking amazing. I can't fucking wait to hopefully get more of TH2. But moving on, we got a little video package from MJF kind of putting over Chris Jericho. We kind of skipped over it a little bit earlier on too. Throughout the entire night, we won't have to cover it all as it goes on, but we were getting sort of cast outs from Jericho's friends and family and those kind of things. Clearly him dipping into his history and that kind of stuff to elevate the show. But I see where it helps on TNT. This got a lot of faces that would be familiar to people that would hey, look, I wouldn't expect to see Slash or Tanahashi or Bully Ray or those kind of things showing up. In the first segment, we also got Don Callis, Lars Ulrich, Gene Simmons, Shaq, all kinds of
I like his dad popping up. Ted Irvin, when he showed up, that was awesome. His dad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah. And I like Bully Ray and Tanahashi. I thought that was a nice touch to have a couple of the old wrestlers. I could care less about all the fucking Rock legends that are on it.
For sure, that's some Jericho levity for sure. So I can give it some levity in that sense. But yeah, the MJF package certainly a little bit of tease that he may be showing up later on tonight as well. But moving on, we get into certainly the big match this evening. Far different from everything else we got. It was all been hyped up over the last little while. Finally, the dog collar match between Brody Lee and Cody. Man, what a solid grudge match this was.
I liked it. It was a good match. It was not the Valentine Piper match. And for me, that withdrew a bit from it, that they kept drawing this comparison and having the Hammer at ringside and kept throwing to him. Catch it. They don't have a lot of luck when they bring these guys out to ringside with yawning and falling asleep, do they? Tyson the first time, and now Greg the Hammer tonight. He's like, why did he have his covered his mouth like that? It's because he was yawning and he's not wearing a fucking mask.
Yeah.
He's like everybody else sitting in your crowd supposed to be. Anyway, so it wasn't. That is the classic the standard bearer for dog collar matches. The blood, the violence, the level of intensity in it is unmatchable, and it was a poor comparison to draw to this one, because this was good, but because of the way the blood dried up before the bloody match had finished as well, and they're talking about streams and rivers of blood, well, you can clearly see they have both stopped bleeding and there is now no blood.
Yeah.
So, but that comes from, again, that's the blade job versus you get it the hard way. Valentine and Parker got it the hard way when they did it. It was real. Like, these were quick, obvious blade jobs, and it didn't last. But the match was a really good, brutal storytelling. I like the way Cody has come back from the thing. I don't think I like that he won the belt back, though, either.
Oh, really? Fair enough.
What was your takeaway? So, like, what did you think of the match itself? You liked it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely won't say that it was like by far the best dog collar match, perfect, flawless thing I definitely seen in my life, full of a few little, like, clustery moments here and there, but I thought they did enough creativeness with the dog collar and telling that kind of stuff. And I think the collars themselves, I would maybe rag on at first. It seemed like they got them from like a sex shop, and like they were a little too like padded and stuff. Like I get it, you're getting torn around by it all night. I wouldn't want it on my neck either. But I think that showed Cody's instantly started kind of mishmashing and eventually the chain kind of falling off of Brody. So no, by far not a perfect match, but I was so much more focused on the story of it, with the Cody kind of overcoming this beast of a man that he had to deal with in their last outing, and how much of a monster Brody's been ever since, kind of thing. I would agree, maybe a little too soon to have the title change, but I was certainly leaning so much more towards that by the end of the match. It was so much like, geez, unless Brody pulls out or something crazy happens from somebody else, Cody is winning this match. He was.
I think I was expecting a Colt interference near the end to save it for Brody. Something to get. All Cody had to do tonight was not get beaten 3 minutes, right? Like, and he's regained the whatever he lost from the first beating. To put up the fight he did in a dog collar match. I've left you bloodied, you left me bloodied. Sure, you beat me, but I've got your respect now, right? Like, that can have been accomplished even with taking the loss and leaving the belt with Brody. I was questioning almost right away, like, shit, where are you going to go with here with Cody? And then they go to Orange Cassidy comes out. I'm not as interested in that. I was kind of hoping it was going to be Hangman that walked out, or Kenny even for a title shot. I thought we were going to go that way. Hangman, I think Hangman would have been more interesting than Kenny even, but I thought we were going to lean in that way. Then I remembered the tournament.
Right. Yeah, I feel like they're much above. This is mid-card, and they're definitely nowhere near that as far as their story goes. I wouldn't have expected them to come out. I kind of like the idea, especially for an anniversary show. Cody Orange match just sounds like more fun than, a big strategical, I really hope Cody fucking pulls it out. But it's also, in the eyes, Orange has big wins over Chris Jericho. Cody couldn't beat Jericho. There's a story to be told there, right? So, and an earned title shot maybe in that sense, or an opportunity to at least fight Cody, right? And him to get that title back here. I think some fun spots. I really love how much John Silver is getting over. In the early spots. I kind of wish he was out for longer, but they used him and utilized him well early on. It was funny that he was the first one to blade before anybody else, and but I enjoyed him getting having to sit in the chair and then getting kicked by Cody. It just kind of came out of nowhere for the shotgun drop kick from Cody there, and
there were some really nice spots that they did with the chain, and like you said, some unique, different kind of things they tried to do. I don't fault any of the problem. Like, you have a botch in a chain match that involves literally the chain fucking you up, like when it got stuck around the ring post for Cody.
Yeah,
that's the kind of stuff that's going to happen, and nothing you can do about that. You're working with a chain. Like, it's like working with kids or animals, except he's got no brain at all.
Right.
So stuff, the super kick miss, that had nothing to do with the chain. He just flat out missed the super kick by half a foot.
Well, it seemed like
left standing there going like, what am I supposed to do? I can't no sell it, but we got to get to the next spot. So Cody lines up and hits him again. And like, oh, that's so sloppy. Like, it's just sloppy. And I don't, that was the only one in this match. But it was now 2 matches in a row where I'm like, look, a fucking cringeworthy botch she just pulled off there. And so at this point, it's not, again, it doesn't ruin my night. It doesn't take me like, you guys all suck.
Right.
But, a little bit of like, oh, Christ, I know I'm going to be seeing this in a highlight package at the end of the month on YouTube.
Yeah, again, but even botches don't take me out of it. It's fucking wrestling. There should be botches. It's not perfect. It's as much ballet, but it's fucking huge muscular dudes trying their best to pull off this stuff. And again, if it takes you out of it when it's something like that, Cody had to do his best to sell it. To me, it did look like Brody got a little caught up in the chain and kind of did his best to kind of catch the move. So it seemed more the impracticality of the chains and that kind of stuff that caused the botch. But I mean,
it probably was.
Yeah, like, again, it just seems like timing, and it wasn't like the match was full of it. I can always forgive a one botch. I tend to just forget them. They don't tend to sit on my my head as much, and then I'm enjoyed when I'm reminded of them by Matthew at the end of the month. So
I think what caught my ear and eye at the same time is, you see it, I got the cringe, like my own man, but it was the commentary reaction again. It's the second, like what they did the same thing in the first match where it was I think he caught some of it. No, he didn't miss. Did he miss it? I'm not sure. And then during the Serena Swole match, they did that on a spot that wasn't botched at all. It wasn't missed, but they couldn't tell who was supposed to be taking the offense from that move.
Right.
And their commentary was the same as it had been in all of these missed spots from earlier with, well, I think that he didn't catch all of it. She might have caught some of it. And maybe that is, again, the 3-man booth. Maybe it's the combination of JR with anybody. It's why it all resonates at once. It's like, I'm hearing that. I'm like, yeah, I'm watching this. You're like, come on, get back on track. Like, you're some of the best guys. Like, Cody, to me, is one of the best fucking wrestlers and workers in the world today. Not just in AEW, in all of wrestling. And I really do like Brody, and I think he's come an awful long way. This just ends up being like, well, see, this is why Vince lets you go, you dumbass. You can't even fucking pull off a super kick. Chained to a guy 3 feet away.
Jeez. Fucking botched super kick spot. My fucking God. Don't ever, miss a single spot on poor Chris Holden. Jeez Louise. He will
not
certainly.
on the major show, not when you're the major talent. That's
fair enough. I'm certainly not as hurt by it. I think, it didn't ruin the match for me at all, but it certainly, like I said, I'm not saying anything's perfect, but I can't certainly,
It didn't ruin the match for me. It's just, I can't pretend it
I know,
didn't
but
happen.
it just seems like you bury these guys when you say that stuff. It feels so like unfortunate. Yeah, well, it's different strokes for different folks, right? So we had Cody. Yes, he eventually was able to overcome here. He got Brody kind of wrapped up in the chain, landing a nasty crossroads to get the finish here, winning the title back in a kind of a big surprise. I don't think anyone sort of expected it. We were sort of not predicting it before, but like as I was saying, I think as the match kind of progressed to that point, I was like, gee, something else has to happen here, or Cody's definitely going to win this title back, and that's what ended up happening. So I always kind of, again, they've never burnt me in the year that we've been having this Dynamite, that they don't tend to have a reason that they do stuff like this. Sure. So I can always just sort of assume that there's always a reason for these things. So if it doesn't end up happening that there was a reason, then I can certainly be like, well, probably not the best time to take the title off Brody or whatever, but the match hyped me up enough. I was maybe not as thrown off by the off commentary. I think maybe it's coming down to that, like, because I'm just so thrown off by the shitty JR, I'm just ignoring it, and I'm just kind of catching the stuff that's half decent. And I was more just intrigued by the match. I was just enjoying what was happening by the two in the ring. Like you said, Cody's a fantastic competitor, and I was just so excited to see him back. I really like Cody. He's one of my absolute favorites. So watching him in the ring, I'm far more captivated by that than wanting to hear what Tony Schiavone or JR have to say. So I think obviously different of opinions here, but yes, a huge match too, a 20-minute match. They don't tend to do big matches like that on I know it's just an extra 5 minutes from something they would normally do, but they certainly gave this the time to tell a big story. It's only 5 minutes, but it's a much longer time. I think when you're used to seeing the 15 minutes, it felt like a longer match, but it didn't feel like a boring match. No, like it felt like a story. It felt like they were invested in it. So yeah. See, Booker Man's got a plan for his title belt. That's for sure. Yes. We get a little tease from the commentary booth about who else will be competing in the tournament coming up. We heard last week it was Ray Phoenix, Jungle Boy, and Kenny Omega. This week we learn it's Wardlow. Also joining them, Colt Cabana, and as we also predicted, Hangman Page now joining the team of guys. So I guess we have 2 more competitors to be announced, and then the 8 men will get started on their way to the #1 contendership. I can't wait. I love tournaments, and I think it'll be fantastic. Hopefully they do a good job showcasing this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I was a little surprised it was
group.
Wardlow announced for it, not MJF. Because I don't imagine MJF's going to be one of the final 2 now with Wardlow in the tournament, unless... I don't know.
Maybe that's his big surprise for next week. Who knows? Yeah. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
The big surprise has got to be I want to join, right? It's got to be him actually joining.
Well, we will have to wait and see. Let's not jump too far ahead in the night. But yeah, this sort of led into a Kenny Omega interview with Alex Marvez, him sort of talking about the tournament and that kind of stuff. Marvez kind of questioning him about the other opponents and that kind of stuff. Kenny being very, very confident here in this interview.
I thought he'd had his milk spiked. Sounded hammered to me. He obviously does not want to face Hangman Adam Page. He's obviously going to face Hangman Adam Page. I'm going to assume that they don't have a match either in the tournament or meet in the finals. I see them fighting at the pay-per-view in a one-on-one because they cost each other their place in the tournament.
Right, yeah. Yeah, quite possibly. Or I see, I mean, Hangman maybe winning or something like that, and Kenny eventually, something like that being the trigger that turns the stuff loose for Kenny here.
Mm-hmm.
No, I like that. I like the confidence of him talking about tournaments and that kind of stuff at first, but yeah, the mention of Hangman, he just kept calling him a tag team wrestler, but he was certainly shook by the idea of fighting him as much as he didn't want to say it. So I do like, again, the subtleties here coming from Kenny leading into this match. Or the tournament that will be forthcoming there. So next matchup, we were sort of talking about it a little bit earlier there in between stuff, but we'll get to a more blow by blow of it here. Big Swole came out to take on Serena D in a pretty solid female match, one they gave some real time to.
Yeah, Serena, I talked a lot about her when she had her first appearance with Shida. She's such a good veteran hand, former WWE star. Those babies look tired and COVID-y right at the start of they showed the crowd shot. Those 2 little babies.
Oh, I must have missed that.
Oh, it was sad. Their parents were having fun, but Jesus, leave your kids at home if you're going to go out for 3 hours of professional wrestling when you've got a baby and a 2-year-old. They don't want to watch it. They don't care about Chris Jericho's 30 years. Anyway, no, Serena really helped Big Swole through the match, I thought. Swole looked good.
Yeah, I thought it was both ways. I'm not as familiar with Serena, so it was great to see her again here in the ring. And yeah, I think she's a great, helpful hand to have here. A great back and forth between her and Big Swole, helping Serena also kind of get over, again, to someone like me who is unfamiliar with her, to actually see her moveset and that kind of stuff, not just, being a good saleswoman kind of thing. I'd like to see some fantastic offense as well. So she was giving a lot of that, kind of giving as much as she took. And I thought it was a real good back and forth from these 2. I kind of, we've been a little bit more used to shorter women's matches. So I kind of anticipated it being more of that, but I liked that they gave these girls about 8 minutes to sort of have a bit more of a showcase between the both of them. You sort of already knew Big Swole is elevated as being the top ranked woman in the division, but this helped, again, for someone like me. This is again like the second time I've seen Serena. Definitely elevated her in my eyes to be much higher in the division.
Yeah, exactly right. You give them that few minutes extra, help Swole out. She carried through a match and allowed to look better because of the quality of the opposition she's fighting. Serena, I'm still in the same boat with this one as the rest of the earlier in the night ones, where we've got someone that the crowd is not as familiar with. Women's division is tighter and smaller anyway, so I don't know really who else you do put her up against as introduction. Maybe Ivelisse and Diamante, who I see as a little level below Big Swole. Big Swole's supposed to be your #1 contender, right?
Right.
That's my only complaint, again, is maybe this is a misplaced out of that. It was very open. You get all this offense out of someone that this is how I'm seeing him portrayed as against who I'm supposed to already know is a big star. But But yeah, again, I can't
I think
complain
that
about
just
the
comes down
match
to how you
itself because
enjoy
the
your
match itself
wrestling
was good.
too.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I think that just comes down to how you enjoy your wrestling at a certain point too, right? I think I like to see a bit more back and forth from everybody. Like
Well,
everyone
it's
kind of
not against the
complained.
back and forth. It's
No,
just
but I think this
make it an
comes down to
opponent that
like,
makes sense to have back and forth with. Then, like,
well, yeah,
if
but this
you're
comes
the
down
number
to
one contender, right? If you're Braun Strowman, like anybody, like whoever I'm being painted as the picture as the top guy, then you get even open matches against other top guys because you're all
right.
top guys. That's what makes you both credible to have that kind of match. When somebody that's low down the card has that kind of performance against a top guy, that's supposed to stand out because it's usually unique. It usually doesn't happen. So tonight just felt like a night full of that undercard opponents for bigger card guys, all of them having open and even matches. There wasn't a squish tonight. And I don't want to sound, again, I don't want to be a complaint. I hate the squish matches all the time, suck. I like that Willie Hobbs is in that spot, right? They pushed him that last few weeks. We've seen him enough. We introduced him as this little bit of a thorn in the side. He's helping out Moxley. But we've learned over the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks, they've been pushing him. That's what the push is. These guys, it's like without a push, they've automatically been thrust into these spots, like Hybrid 2, right away against the tag team champions, and not just as an appearance, putting on a really good match against the world tag team champion.
Right.
So I get what you're saying, and if you can take it that way with FTR have to win this, so that's cool. But I still would rather see them having to do that against another team that has had a push. Like do that with the best friends next week. I don't expect.
Well, even if it, but what if that tells the story that they should just be smarter about who they pick? Because they were just being so overconfident. Like, we can just pick any team on the roster. You get your 20 minutes with glory with us. And then, like, for a team to be like, you really want to give us a tag title shot? We'll fucking show you what we do with the goddamn tag title shot. Like, just to show you how serious they take it, right? Like, so
Sure.
it's all about how you drink it in and how you take it. And I think that was a real eye opener for FTR as much as it was for TH2. They showed how much they could do against a hot tag team. And FTR were like, holy shit, we shouldn't just fucking, brush off every tag team here and call them all jokers and stuff like that. Maybe we should, start taking things a little more serious. And then maybe we see a little bit more out of them in the ring. Because, like, to be honest, all I've seen from them is shitty heel tactics. And again, it gets kind of old sometimes. So that's just where that is for me. So
I won't argue with that story take because that's fine. But if that is the take of it, well, it was the same story in the main event tonight.
Right.
Duplicate story. So, right. I just,
fair enough.
Again,
Yeah.
They did the same thing all night long of these undercard guys doing that against them. And that's it. That's all it is a take on it. It's really not a slam as much as the way I saw it through the night. Like,
fair enough. Well, nothing wrong with that. You're entitled to your opinion, sir. So I think that's about it for the Serena D Big Swole match. Big Swole getting the Dirty Dancing to get the finish there. We had a little video package from John Moxley. That was really good, kind of hyping up the title match between him and Lance Archer next week. We had one earlier in the night, too, from Lance. I had a kind of question. We kind of brushed over that, too, so maybe I'll bring it up here. Do you feel that, because maybe, again, this is my sort of take on it. It's unfortunate, again, that Lance contracted corona and those kind of things, so he was unable to be on the show, and they weren't able to pump this match the way they intended. They had this triple threat planned and all these kind of other things for Moxley to be doing, and then instead they threw Eddie Kingston in there, a fantastic performer and someone the fans are super behind, who is great on the mic, who in my eyes now has taken a lot of that steam away from Lance. The fact that Moxley didn't actually beat him. Again, if you're watching all this stuff, he cut an amazing promo on Moxley on Dark. He's not giving up on Moxley. He's constantly still on the tail of Moxley, which is good to have always these competitors. But as soon as I saw Lance and he even brought them up, I was like, yeah, I'm still more excited to see an Eddie Kingston match against Moxley than I am Lance. And I think that's, again, situation a little unfortunate. And I don't want to take anything away from Lance at all, or again from the momentum. Sometimes when you build momentum, you want to just keep things going, and you can't control it when it happens.
I think it's exactly that problem. Like, I'm looking forward to it because I like the way they've hyped Lance.
Yeah,
I do think it sucks that he hasn't been able to be there, and they haven't been able to do more of the stuff with him in person, and the domination and the shit kickery that I like to see out of him in the pre Battle Royal promos from before the last pay-per-view. Circumstances being what they are, though, at least we've got these promo things, and at least we've gotten to see Moxley in action. it has managed to build this other program for Mox, which title or no title he can go into with Kingston. I love when there's more than the one iron in the fire for anybody. So I do like that there's this backup program and this other opposition he's got. Maybe Eddie comes in or any one of his family come in and fuck with Moxley to cost him the belt with Archer, right? There's other levels and layers that it could go now, which maybe they wouldn't have had that if they'd had the original plan been stuck with.
True.
I don't know. I totally get what you're saying, though. It definitely has taken a bit of the steam out of it. On the other hand, we're not then ending up with the same old crash in the ring, contract signing, crash in the ring. Someone goes.
True. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I think it's a give and take both ways. I think it was a great way to elevate Eddie to a super high standing, and again, to keep him in that picture and those kind of things is great. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Lance. I'm still excited for that match too, but I think just a little less than I was when he won the Rumble. At first, when he won the Rumble, I was like, well, I can't wait for the Moxley Lance match, and then it was like, okay, it's just going to be at the anniversary show. Okay. And then he got sick and it's like, oh, okay. And then it's just, again, it's been an unfortunate circumstance. Again, nothing against Lance or the booking or anything they could do. So they had to kind of do what they could with what they had. And sometimes you just sort of end up in a different situation. And that's where we are here. But we got our last grouping of celebrity and wrestling cameos here. Chavo Guerrero on the camera while he is in Australia. I don't get why he couldn't just send himself from Australia, but that seemed very strange.
Why? My question on that was they made the point of being he's quarantining and locked down in Australia. Yeah. He was on Talking Shop. What's he doing in Australia? Wasn't there a travel ban? What's his emergency reason? Chavo had to go to Oz.
I have no idea. I don't know how long he's been there. Yeah, that's or how recently he was able to get that
Talking
far.
Shop of 80 was during COVID, right? That's why they did it in the outdoors with no fans, right? Yeah. So I mean, he's definitely
that was a few months ago. Ban. So yeah,
he's gotten to Oz in a travel ban. They've had the lockdown before the States did. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, they've obviously have some travel. Legally.
Yeah. he's definitely done it during a pandemic and a travel ban, and then take a great pace, be like, well, I'm quarantined and locked down in this other place that I'm at that I travel to.
Yeah, very, very strange. But great appearance from Lance Storm as well, and Ultimo Dragon. Good to shout out all the wrestlers there, and again, the celebrity appearances are what they are. Kevin Smith, Eli Roth, Steel Panther, and Paul Stanley. So everyone kind of putting over Jericho, really celebrating his anniversary tonight. It's crazy to think he's been in this for 30 years and been so, just different all the time. Everything's kind of different from Jericho. And this sort of seemed definitely like they kind of just gave him this main event to sort of be here, just do something that you want to do here. And not necessarily the best of all the main events we've ever had in AEW. I was not, blown away by anything. It was Chris Jericho and Hager taking on the Chaos Project, which is Luther and Serpentico, which is a new team. They've just sort of formed recently, got 3 wins on Dark to sort of start elevating them a little bit. But I would certainly agree in the sense that this was, again, more a young team coming up or whatever. I was more looking at it in the Jericho working with the younger teams or whatever type stuff, as well as the friend Luther. They obviously talked about their history and that kind of stuff. And I guess my only other way of looking at it is I don't know how else in story you get these two teams together. Jericho is so much higher on the card than Luther. And if he just wanted to have a match with a friend, sure. But again, it didn't need to be the main event of Dynamite necessarily. But again, it was the 30th anniversary of Jericho. He's a huge draw. And I bet you it did, decent numbers and those kind of things. So I get it from both ends. I
feel like very little doubt, like Chris Jericho said, it's my night and I want to take on a guy that I started with, broke in together, who never got the breaks I did, never got the rubs. I want him to have a main event on my night. And they said, you want it, Chris? It's up to you. It's your night. Yeah. And for that, because I honestly, there is no other reason for these guys to have been in that spot. Luther looked fantastic. They made him look like $1 million.
So I can suspend my disbelief in the sense that it's Jericho doing something nice for a friend. Like, again, I want to understand the stories and these characters and that kind of stuff, but there is this outside part of it, the outside characters and the things that they reference in that kind of sense, and the people that they are outside of being Chris Jericho and that kind of stuff. So there's part of it you can look at in that sense too, where we talk about Jericho working with younger talent, or like this, Jericho working with a friend type thing. So I can kind of suspend my disbelief in the AEW canon type deal, where it's like, why would this, dude that was like in Brandy Rhodes' shitty Nightmare Collective, why the fuck would he ever get any great offense in on Jericho? But hey, cool to see Jericho have a fun match with a friend that, they never got to have this type of elevated performance, and they'd never get to do this in like WWE or something, right? So,
no, it felt like an exhibition dark match in that respect, of like the pairing that you won't see and wouldn't have gotten to see. And I will be surprised if this is a story, as in this continues and we ever see them again. No. I don't think so.
No.
I think this was a one-off, set up last week to do for tonight. And Luther got to go to the back with fucking tears in his eyes and he hugged Jericho. And he's like, thank you so much, man, for letting me do that tonight.
Yeah.
And Jericho's like, you're welcome. You were with me back in the beginning. And they had a little, you're not crying, I'm crying moment. Strike that, reverse it. And, right. I love Excalibur's fucking history lessons in this match, not only talking about Luther and Jericho in 91 and 96, but talking about Lance Storm being his first opponent right after we've seen the Lance Storm package. Ultimo Dragon involved in first big tag matches. Don't think he brought up Benoit. Pretty sure it was Jericho's partner back then. But
yeah, anyway. So we don't talk about that. He could have at least said the what is it? What was his like masked?
Oh Christ, the masked tiger, wasn't he? Or the Jeep tiger?
Fuck, it was like a horse thing. What the fuck am I thinking?
Pentasaur?
Fuck me. Whatever.
It's a fictional, oh my God. The sickening thing is one of us, before the other one finds it on Google, be like, it was this, fuck's sakes, now we look stupid, whatever. I love the EVH.
Whatever.
The EVH on Y2J's shoulder was a nice touch. I wondered if they had a video for Van Halen they couldn't play in circumstances in light of, because of all the other stars that they had out. It wouldn't have surprised me if Van Halen had been one of them.
Yeah.
Aside from that, it was a decent match. It's not a complaint about the wrestling or the action in the match. It just seemed a little misplaced. Who's giving me the action?
Yeah, for sure. No,
the simplest, nicest way to put it.
Yeah, no, it's a justified opinion to have on it, and a totally acceptable way to, like, because of the way they present the product, right? So I think it's all about how you drink it in, or all those kind of things. So I would always say that I would give them a bit of relief in these sort of senses. But yeah, I think the criticism is certainly justified there. That Pegasus Kid, that was it. Thank you. Did you look it up or?
No, it just suddenly has like Pegasus.
I don't want to use this as the clip. I hope I don't have to use this as the clip for the show. I just don't want to have to look up Pegasus Kid picture.
I've made the thumbnail, but I might have to change it to just a fucking Pegasus now, but you have to watch till the 50th minute to figure out why I did that.
Oh, jeez. I am going to have to make the clip. Oh, fuck. Yeah, so solid match between these two. Serpentico certainly getting a little bit of offense in here as well, looking pretty good with his flippy flops and those that kind of things. And then a real nasty Judas effect from Jericho after. Luther had really laid in some fantastic offense. That King Kong knee drop from the top rope looked really good. Yeah, a little tentative with the bulldog that he tried to drop on Jericho. I get what you're talking about. Some of the botch spots, obviously, a few things here and there. But yeah, not a terrible match, but certainly weird in the ether of the world of AEW and the rankings and all those kind of things. Some of that was kind of thrown out tonight. We were having just a fun anniversary show, but I certainly understand the opinion where if you're not as familiar with the rest of the talent on the show, it would just feel the exact same way. And that's on AEW, where they could have done even just one video package for one of these other guys would have made it seem a little different, right? If there was just something for Will, we were like, okay, I just look at Will a little differently than just, why would this guy get in the offense in on Brian Cage?
Hybrid 2,
or
from what
Hybrid
you're saying,
2
sound like the perfect guys to have done that with.
Or Hybrid 2, yeah.
They have accomplishments that I had no idea they had outside of what I've seen or what you told me tonight.
Yeah.
Like what the commentary told me tonight was they have 3 wins on Dark.
Right.
Right. And Excalibur does his best to give you background without specific federations.
No, for sure. Then, yeah, I think they would totally benefit from it.
It loses some of the weight. I want to know, is it AAA in Mexico, or was it, local Diablo wrestling? Like
no,
wherever.
they worked for like CMLL, AAA. They were both
Yeah.
in Lucha Underground. Like they're veterans. They've been around for a long time. Jack Evans was in Ring of Honor for a long time. Like they've been around the block for sure. So but I could totally see where they don't. AEW doesn't do any favors to tell you that stuff. So that just tends to be them sort of getting the gears going. And maybe we'll have to do after the anniversary show, we'll do a sort of breakdown of the year of what has been of all of AEW, whether we do that here on the podcast or on the radio. There's a few other great things before we get to the send off here. We had Chris Jericho, everyone kind of coming out to celebrate with him. MJF came out, interrupted everybody at first. You think who knows what this will lead to? Wardlow had somebody underneath a sheet. You saw some clown shoes, so I think it kind of gave it away at first, and he almost pulled the sheet too early, which was a real fun kind of botch. So I certainly do understand where they did start kind of add up if you were sort of triggering with them in that sense. But he did eventually reveal that it was just I can't remember what the clown's name was. The clown thing I didn't quite understand, but he was holding a picture or a wrapped gift again. It was a framed photo of MJF for Chris Jericho. Jericho then smashed it over the clown's head, said he hates clowns and hates being interrupted, and that he should never do that again. They stare each other down. Oh, but they're just kidding. The tension or the jokey stuff between these two is just fantastic right now. I can't wait to see where the ball goes here. MJF asking Chris Jericho to be at he's got a big career-defining announcement next week, and he wants Jericho to be present for it. So we'll have to find out what that is next week when we get that. And maybe this just kind of took me out of it. All the other kind of bad stuff from the night, because this end just made me laugh so much. The SNL, like Saturday Night Live ending, with the credits, it's just Chris Jericho's name in every credit. Like I was almost on the floor. Like Jericho's just the fucking king. Like, oh my god, that was fucking amazing. I loved that. Everybody coming out with the drinks and like, oh, it was just chef's kiss to me on this 30th anniversary of Chris Jericho. So I think that about wraps things up for our blow by blow. Chris, do you have anything else to say?
I thought the clown was your pull. I thought he was going to pull the sheet off, and that was going to be your pull, the clown, from the This Is Your Life segments from Mick Foley.
Oh, okay, right.
That when I saw the clown shoes, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! They brought back your pull. Oh my fucking god! And then it wasn't. But then you're wondering, well, there's no other reason for it to have been a clown if that wasn't some kind of throwback to that, right? Or a callback.
Well, yeah, he's had clowns in his career, I guess, his whole life. He called people ass clowns. He dressed up like Doink at one time, the This Is Your Life stuff. So, I mean, clowns have certainly been pretty prevalent in the world of Chris Jericho. So I guess I could see it from that sense. But the
SNL closed the credits. And then when you realize that they're playing the theme music and that's why everyone's in the ring with the champagnes, they're like, oh, that's fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that too.
Yeah, so I don't know whoever's idea that was, really got me. Anyways, Chris, I guess all right, that wraps things up here for the blow by blow. Let everyone know where they can hear us.
You can listen to us on the radio on a Wednesday night live at 7 p.m. 88.7 The River FM in Ontario, Canada. If you're not lucky enough to live in Ontario, Canada, you can catch it on the internet. 887theriver.ca under the archives folder. You'll find us under Low Blow Radio. You can also catch it on podcast centers wherever they broadcast podcasts from, thanks to sounder.com.
That's right. And I always forget to plug our Twitter. And we usually try to tweet all the stuff there, our videos and the live broadcasts and stuff like that. Low Blow 88.7. Low Blow 887 on Twitter. You can look us up there. And yes, here on YouTube, thank you for watching. You can like this video. You can share it with your friends. You can ring that little bell to get notifications for when the new ones go up. And hey, you can even jump in the comments and let us know what you think of these things when we put them up. And Chris and I will be back with another blow by blow next time here on Low Blow Radio Podcast.
Adios, amigos.